is supply. Communication skills are key to being an effective vacation Bible school director. And I'm not talking about how well you speak. I'm talking about how effectively and efficiently you're able to communicate with a lot of different people who play different roles at your VBS. For instance, you may need to communicate with your volunteers before VBS with training schedules or maybe some training tips. And after VBS, saying thank you. And during VBS, you may need to communicate with parents. Maybe you have some unique drop-off instructions, or maybe just sharing with them what their kids learned that day. All of this communication takes a lot of time. But I've got some really good news. We have a solution that's going to bring time back into your abilities to get things done and make you a pro communicator. Concordia Supply has partnered with Text in Church to simplify your communication plans and processes. I'd like to introduce to you Jenna from the team at Text in Church. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, guys. I'm so glad to be here today.
Oh, I'm so glad you could join us. I'm excited, so I'm going to let you jump right in and tell us more of what is this communication plan for VBS directors.
Yes. Okay. So I work at Text in Church, and we help thousands of church leaders communicate. A lot of us work with our communication strategies for members and guests, and we saw this gap for VBS of what do we do to communicate better to parents and volunteers. So we've created this beautiful guide. I'm going to hop right into it with a ton of messages that are done for you, ready for you to see. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you what this resource is.
Good.
All right. I have just sent that over.
Here we go.
Get there now. Okay, so we've created your ultimate VBS communication plan. What this is text messages and emails for you to send to both volunteers and parents. So I've been in that role where I've been a parent and a volunteer. I'll tell you, it's an exciting thing to have kids there. It's an exciting thing to be a volunteer, but there's been some things that I've experienced as a disconnect, and that's part of the inspiration of why we've created this. And I'll kind of get into that as I go into some of the messages. But we've separated this document into volunteer communication and then parent communication. So I'm going to go into the volunteer communication first. So got fun little kids on this. The first part is volunteer recruitment. So we've come up with a couple messages for you to send both to your current kids ministry volunteers to get them plugged in, as well as your whole church. So it's an awesome opportunity to get more people in your church connected. And this is just, we've done for you messages ready to go that you can copy and paste and send out. In addition, when volunteers sign up to volunteer, having really good communication with them that gives them the information that they need so they feel equipped to do their role the best that they can do is so important. It makes them feel more empowered and have less confusion. It also is an awesome opportunity to connect with and pray for your volunteers. So first of all, just confirming, hey, you are registered. These are the dates. These are the things that are important for you to mark in your calendar. And then a couple weeks, depending on when you do your recruitment, but a couple weeks prior is a great time to send some messages saying, hey, we're just 2 weeks away. Start praying for the event. And then training, right? You're going to have a training. When is the training? Are you sending a message after saying, following up with them? So just little pieces of communication that make them feel seen and noticed and important. And then, of course, leading up, we're 1 week away. Do you have any questions? So it's really just an awesome way for you to build relationships so they feel comfortable talking to you at the event, prior to the event. And of course, we'll talk about this free 60 days with Text in Church a little bit later. And then you hit the actual event. And this is one of my favorite times because so much happens at the actual event. There's so many moving pieces. You guys do an incredible job planning these huge, beautiful events and that are impactful. But there's a lot going on, and sometimes you don't get to have those conversations with your volunteers, like what actually happened. So the goal of this is to not only encourage them, tell them what's going to happen, that you're praying for them, but also ask questions. How did it go? Thank you so much. Thank them. Give them a reminder of what the next day is going to be like. So essentially, this guide will have a morning and an afternoon message for each volunteer. I love this one. Any cool stories you'd like to share? I think that's one of the coolest things to do is get stories from volunteers. They might not have that time to share it with you, but those are the things you normally share with your congregation of what God did in the life of the church and in that VBS experience. So I'll just kind of skim through here a second. We've got 5 days full. This is set up for if it was a 5-day VBS. So it's 5 days full of morning and afternoon messages for your volunteers. And then one important thing is asking your volunteers for feedback. We can't grow and learn unless we ask for that. So following up with them and asking them in a survey format. So those are the messages that we have for volunteers. The second part is something I'm really excited about as a parent. So I'll just give you a little quick backstory. I have 2 little boys that we've gone to multiple VBSs in our community. And often they'll come home with these little papers that say maybe the animal or the person that they got. And I get maybe half of them of what like verse they've learned or, you know, what they talked about, or maybe maybe it was an announcement of like when the evening celebration was on the last night or something. I felt it as a big disconnect because I didn't feel like I knew what was going on. So you'll see in some of these messages the importance of making parents feel really comfortable dropping their kids off, because you guys have an awesome experience for kids, but for somebody who's maybe new to the area, it can feel a little scary. So it starts all the way with registration. One thing that would be a great way to get new families is just to text them, ask them to come register. Registration's open to last year's families. And then once they've actually registered, sending them good communication, a text message to let them know to check their email, and then giving them all the details. And you'll notice in these messages, there's a lot of messages that have the details listed, because if you're anything like me, you might delete one email and then you're looking for that one message that has the date and time and all the notes. So being continually providing this type of information is extremely helpful in that process. Another exciting idea is they've registered, tell them to invite somebody else. Send them a message to think of another family who might want to come. It's a great outreach opportunity. Prompting families to be a part of the outreach mission that you're doing. Then, of course, these are very similar that line up with the volunteers. So you have the pre-event messaging 2 weeks before with all the details. 1 week before, reminder, just a text message to check their email, because text messages are way more read than emails. So it's just another way to get in front of them. Adding maybe frequently asked questions that people have into your messaging. And then again, 1 day before the actual event starts. And then you have the event communication. This is what I'm most excited about, because I love to further those conversations with my kids. And if I don't know what you guys are learning about, it's hard to have those conversations. So this provides an opportunity to tell parents what you learned. Maybe it's the scripture that you talked about, maybe it's the animal. So it's a continual reminder through text and email messages to continue to have that conversation. It also builds connection. Let's just say there's a family that isn't a part of your church community or a church community at all. They're starting to have this conversation and trust you and feel like, oh, these are people at a church. These are people that I feel comfortable engaging with, and you never know the discipleship opportunity that provides. So I will continue to, what song did they learn? Almost all these have fun songs that you can engage with your kids, and they'll probably be able to sing 5 lines or 5 words of a song, and the next day they'll sing more. So it's kind of fun that way. And then this is a continual reminder. When is the ceremony? I know for me, I didn't know that there was a ceremony on the 4th night until the 3rd day. And I had my parents saying, oh, I wish I would have known. I would have loved to come see them and all that. So there was a disconnect for me. So being able to continue to have that conversation, set expectations ahead of time of what parents can expect. So yeah, again, 5 days of messages, continuing to encourage parents. Okay, this part is something that is so important. And some churches are doing this really well, and some haven't even considered this idea. So I just wanted to share the concept here. So the post-event follow-up is making sure there's a process for families who have come to your VBS, but then you want them to get plugged in other ways in the church. A lot of times we'll say, yep, come join us on Sunday, or we're going to have the kids sing on Sunday of one of the songs they learned. What this is a little bit more thorough of messages. So we have a few messages to follow up with them. This is Elizabeth Jacobson. She uses text in church, and she uses it for VBS to collect signups and encourage participation each day and follow up. And so they had people continue to come back for their community outreach program because of it. So it's pretty exciting to see that. So whether it's inviting them to church, like this is very simple, but then also continuing that conversation, not just one Sunday, and then asking them, how can I be praying for you and your family? Being really raw with them. So it's continual conversation, and then inviting them to, when is your next kickoff event or your next event to continue to get their family or their kids into your ministry. Something that I just skimmed past here though is this easy button. Essentially, if you use text in church, and if you don't use text in church, we're giving away 60 days completely free for you to try it out, check how the messages work. You click this members, click here button, and it automatically loads in to your account. So all the messages from that follow-up that I just showed you will go into your account. The rest of them you'd schedule out, but it's kind of exciting for you to add those messages in, and then any new families you just add to a group and they automatically get the messages, just that click of a button. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm excited about as I see these, Jenna. I feel like there is a robust amount of emails is what we're seeing, but I also like they're not cold emails. They're written from people who understand a VBS director. They also understand the church culture. So I'm really appreciating that. I don't expect directors are going to have to spend a lot of time putting their own language into it. They can, right? They can edit these emails and make them their own, but they're just so well written already. I know it's going to save directors a lot of time.
Yes, exactly. And I think we have 3 reasons that we think people should get this, right? There's 3 main big things, and that's the number one thing is saving time. A lot of the messages are done. They are done for you. They're written. There will be some tweaking, of course, to fit your church culture, but they're extremely simple just to copy and paste. And that was our goal in all of this is you guys are juggling a million things, like decorations to volunteers to all of the lesson planning to just everything, which plans to use. This goal is not to say, hey, communicate better and figure it out. That's why I want to make that is use this, save time. And also, essentially, it should save you time on the back end too. You're going to have less questions, more open communication, and people will feel a lot more connected to you.
Yeah, this is great. So 60 days, free trial. How do they get their free communication plan?
Yeah, so there is a link. It is, and I'll go ahead and let you put that up there, but it's ticmsg.com/VBS-ultimate. So we just have a link that you can go to. We'll be adding it in the description as well.
Yes.
And once you get there, it'll be just a page for you to download that resource.
That's great. Yeah, I'm actually going to put it into the description, so you'll either see it above this video or right below this video and be able to easily get your communication plan. Jenna, thanks so much for all the hard work that you've done. It's been fun working with you and your team, and I'm excited for VBS directors to take a look at this. VBS directors, if you're already familiar with Text in Church, give us a big thumbs up. And if you're downloading that link, give us a thumbs up there as well. Thanks for your time, Jenna. And VBS directors, I hope you all have a great day.
Thanks, guys.